see because I am using the whiteboard, so I will not be able to see. Unmute your mic and ask the question, right? Okay. So let us start with a simple question before I start with the whiteboard. What is your understanding with uh, uh, let's say balance sheet? How do you look at the balance sheet? Are you able to see this whiteboard, sir? Is it visible to you?
Yes, visible.
Yes, visible, sir.
Yep.
Okay. So if I am saying, how do you look at the balance sheet? Okay. So I am not asking for a structured definition for balance sheet. I am just trying to understand how you look at the balance sheet, right? Are you working on the balance sheet for your day-to-day expenses, for your personal expenses, for your investments and all? Do you have that kind of practice, writing balance sheet in your personal diary?
Yes, of course.
Yeah, but not a structured one, right?
Okay. So that means somewhere balance sheet related things you are writing, because whenever you are in your office and you are going through some certain document which name is balance sheet, somewhere you realize the same kind of thing somewhere I am writing for my personal expenses or investment kind of thing in my diary, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right. So what do you think, like what should be the ideal position of the balance sheet? Why balance sheet is required?
So, Milind, yes, so like whatever you have invested and you have put your money against what income you have received. What is it like, profit or loss with respect to the amount that you have invested, and what all borrowings you have taken so far, what is the status?
Okay. Okay. What else could be there in balance sheet? Fair enough.
So to know the financial health of your organization or your personal wealth,
Okay.
means your liabilities are more than your income, or your assets, or your assets are more than your liabilities. Means you are financially stable or not. And if you compare the historical balance sheets, then we can also get a judgment that the company or a person is progressing or not progressing, as
Okay.
far as the financial matter is concerned.
Okay. So
Can I
are
give it a
we
shot, sir?
Yes, please.
Sandeep here. So
Yes.
balance sheet basically gives a snapshot of assets and liabilities, how the assets are getting funded, and what is the position of the organization to serve the liabilities that may come, in near future or in long term, and how the value can be generated through the things that an organization owns as assets. So it's basically a
Okay.
snapshot only valid for that period of time or that moment, and it's actually not a relevant document when we look beyond that.
So, okay, fair enough. So this snapshot, which name is balance sheet, can I write this snapshot or can I click this snapshot at any point in time?
You can click the snapshot at any point of time. You need not wait for the end of the year.
Okay. So I think this is the very important information we are getting, because I am assuming that we don't have any clue of accounting finance, including me, and we are just trying to explore accounting and finance related issues with the statements of P&L, balance sheet, and cash flow. So this is a very important information where we are trying to say that balance sheet I can write at any point in time, right? I am not supposed to wait for 31st March. Otherwise, we have, as a layman, I can say like there are some certain information we are getting that balance sheet is supposed to be prepared quarterly, half yearly, or yearly. But my idea with the balance sheet should be like whenever I am trying to understand the position of my business, I should be writing the balance sheet. Isn't it, sir? I think it's okay.
Right, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So again, if let's say I am writing balance sheet and I am not starting writing the balance sheet with your company. But let's say I am looking at my own balance sheet, personal balance sheet, right? I'm just looking at what kind of investments I have done, what kind of borrowings I have, what kind of income I am generating, and through these information, would I be able to prepare my balance sheet, right? So before writing the balance sheet, can you please help me that how many components they are supposed to be included in the balance sheet? If I am saying something is called balance sheet, and balance sheet I should be writing at a given point in time. So obviously I should write balance sheet as on, isn't it? So some date will be there
Yes.
and some month will be there and some year will be there, right? I'm not writing 31st March 2021 because I'm not in favor of that. I am saying balance sheet I can write at any point in time whenever I am trying to understand the position of my business. So I am saying you fill the date, month, and year as per your requirement, right? But balance sheet as on because you are trying to say what is the position of my investments and other things as on some certain kind of date, month, and year, right? Now you please help me. What are the components of the balance sheet? Any idea with the components of the balance sheet? And I request all participants please participate because I am
Sir,
not able to see you. तो
sir,
मैं आपको सिर्फ सुन सकता हूँ.
all type of incomes, all type
All
of
kind of.
incomes,
Okay.
then all
Okay.
type of expenses means liabilities, like suppose you are paying some EMIs, or
Okay.
you
So
have
let me
some
write down, sir. One, you are saying income, and
yes,
another thing you are saying expenses.
yes, expenses
Okay.
or liabilities you are telling.
Okay. So
Plus,
you are saying liability.
yes,
Okay.
plus any type of the assets you are generating.
Okay. Any kind of asset I am generating.
Yeah, means one type of the investment you can say your cash balance.
Ji. So, sir, you have given the lifeline for all possible patients. Actually, what you have done, you have given 4 core component of financial statement. Actually, right? Now, that is my duty that I will try to understand what should be going to be fit in the balance sheet. But you are rightly, you have already informed us that when you are looking at the business or any kind of thing, you will be dealing with either income or you will be dealing with expenses or you will be dealing with liability or asset. So what we are trying to say, whenever you are or we are going to look at some certain kind of business related activity, and whenever I am thinking about the financial statement kind of thing, I am roughly or knowingly and unknowingly I am dealing with income related things, expense related things, liability related things, and asset related things, right? Okay. Now, as per the format or as per the requirement of the balance sheet, what happened? Liability
Left
and
side.
assets, they are the component of the balance sheet. Why? Because you are just trying to understand what kind of asset you own and what kind of liability you owe, right? And you are just trying to understand what I own or what I owe at a given point in time, right? What is the current position of my asset and what is the current position of my liabilities, right? So because you are saying balance sheet is a kind of snapshot of your financial position and trying to understand the financial position at a given point in time. So in short, you are trying to say, I'm just trying to understand what I owe and what I own at a given point in time. So basically liabilities, they are equals to what you owe, and assets, they are equals to what you own. Is it okay up to this point? Is it clear?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that means liability is the component of the balance sheet, and asset, they are also component of the balance sheet. Okay. What about income and expenses? Shall I include income and expenses in my balance sheet?
Yeah, it's a part of profit and loss account.
It is a part of profit and loss. Can you please elaborate, sir?
Yeah, we can divide, bifurcate the balance sheet into three parts. First is the profit and loss, which comprises of all incomes and expenses.
Correct.
That PLN, whatever profit or loss that goes to the balance sheet by way of assets and liability classification. And third
Okay.
one and the last one is the cash flow statements
Okay.
that we prepare.
Okay. So income and expenses, are you trying to see these income and expenses for a period, or you are trying to see these income and expenses at a given point in time? What is your thought process? Either this is personal related or they are related to the business. Are you trying to see income and expenses for the period, or you are trying to understand them at a given point in time, likewise in balance sheet, liability and assets?
It can be both ways.
Okay.
Is it for the period?
Yeah, it's kind of for period statement.
Period. So let's say period is 1st April to 31st March. So this is the standard period. And what is happening? You are closing your balance sheet on 31st March for the requirement of audit and this and that. And you are saying you are writing what is the position of liability and asset as on 31st March, whatever calendar year is given, right? What is happening in between from 1st April to 31st March? You are operating the business, isn't it? And when you are operating the business, you are meeting with some expenses and some revenues. Is it okay, sir? Either you say revenue or you can say income.
Right.
And when you are operating the business, you are meeting with expenses and revenue, right? And obviously, when I am going to look at, or when I am going to compare income and expenses or revenue and expenses mathematically, outcome could be profit or loss. So revenue is greater than expenses. My outcome, mathematical outcome, will be profit. And if expenses, they are greater than revenue, my outcome would be
Loss.
loss. And what would happen if they are equal? This may be the situation where they are equal.
No profit, no loss.
No profit, no loss. So you are saying break even. You must have heard about break even.
Yeah.
Starting the business, saying that how many years I will be taking to break even, or how many units I am supposed to sell to break even, to achieve the break even. What should be my sales price to achieve the break even, right? So anyway, so as a new entrepreneur, I am dreaming for break even, because I know that initially I am making investments, arranging the things and all. So I am not making the profit, because expense side numbers, they are in higher side. My expense, combination of expenses, they are higher than the income, right? Because I am trying to establish myself in the market. So mathematical outcome could be my losses, but I am dreaming and trying to understand how many years I will be taking to break even. Expectation is like that. So what is the cycle? If I am going to target the break even, before the break even, I am experiencing some certain kind of loss, right? And after achieving this break even, I am expecting, it is not a kind of hard and fast thing, but I am expecting I will be generating some profit. Sir, are you with me? Is it okay with you?
Yes.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So this is the idea of P&L account, and I'm in that race. I am running my business, operating my business, experiencing expense revenue, managing my expenses, managing my revenue, recovering my pending money from my customers and all, right? Paying some certain expenses or trying to control my costs where expenses can be reduced. And in this game, somewhere I am trying to achieve my break even or I am trying to achieve my profit. Now, what do you think? When you are making the profit, how this profit will help your balance sheet? This is the next question. If your company is making profit, how your profit will help the balance sheet? Would it be able to help the balance sheet?
Increasing the owner's equity and
Increasing the owner's equity. Okay. Can you please, sir, elaborate what is owner's equity and how this is going to increase the owner's equity?
means if you are not paying it by way of dividend, then it will be added to their equities, means contribution.
Okay.
Kind of, increasing the value of that account, equity account.
Okay. So that means, let's say profit is 100 rupees, out of which, let's say 20 rupee is my dividend, because 100 rupee cannot be dividend, right?
Right.
So let's say 20 rupee is my dividend and remaining is 80, which I am retaining with me, right? So 80
Right.
rupee I am retaining. Can I say this 80 rupee will be able to give growth to your capital?
Correct.
Okay. Are you okay with this up to this point? All the participants? Is it okay with you?
Yes, sir.
Hello. That
Yes, sir.
80 rupee will be able to give growth to your capital, or forget about capital, for whatever money you have invested in your company. So what you did, let's say this is the area of, let's say I'm saying April 2020 and this is 31st March 2021. So this is just a kind of financial year related requirement. I'm saying my financial year is starting from 1st April and I'm closing my balance sheet on 31st March. When I'm closing my balance sheet on 31st March, should I say that I'm closing the business?
No, sir.
No. Why?
Yes. It is a continuous process.
It is a continuous process, right? I'm just meeting the requirement of the compliance and all, where officially I'm supposed to close my balance sheet on 31st March, closing the balance sheet on 31st March, but it doesn't mean that I'm going to close my business. So business to chalta rahega, right? I'm going to continue with my business. Okay. Am I starting my business on 1st April?
No.
No.
No. So that means maybe 10 years back, I started my business, isn't it? And every year I was closing my balance sheet and I was also writing or trying to understand expenses and revenue related thing in that financial year. And every financial year related expenses and revenue related combination was somewhere able to give growth to your capital. So when I'm saying give growth to your capital or equity, that means you are making some profit. It may happen that there is some certain particular year where capital is not getting growth just because of your bad performance, isn't it? So performance, when I'm saying performance, this is the area of your performance, right? And performance is nothing but your outcome of expenses and revenue. So your performance is happening. This performance you are trying to understand from 1st April to 31st March for this accounting year, or financial year. So basically you are saying how was my performance in the name of expense and revenue, right? And because there should be some statement to record your expense, your performance, so that statement is profit or and loss account, and which is going to cover the issues related to the expenses and revenue. So that means if I'm going to look at my income is related to profit and loss, expenses, they are also related to the statement of profit and loss, right? Again, I am going to look at this. So I am saying what happened every year. I am looking at my performance. My performance related outcome is impacting my balance sheet of that particular year. And just because of this kind of combination or this kind of arrangement of process, your balance sheet is getting matured every year, right? So when I'm saying your balance sheet is getting matured every year, 10 years back you started your business. So in your balance sheet, if you are writing your equity, is it a kind of equity related for this year? Or this is the equity you have generated over the period of the 10 years? Sir, am I audible? Are you
generated over
Yes,
over
sir.
a period
Yes,
of 10 years.
Okay, so please stop me if you are not able to understand any concept, right? So as you rightly mentioned, this is the equity I have generated over the period. I started my business 10 years back, and every year I was making some investments in assets. There was some certain issues related to the disposal of the assets also. There were some certain liabilities. There were some certain kind of loan, equity related things. And this is the way I am running my business. And I'm concentrating on my performance part because this is very important. And this performance part is reflected through the P&L account, which is saying how you performed in this accounting year. Because this is very important. This is going to give a direct contribution to your balance sheet. Because it will decide whether your balance sheet is going to be strengthened through the P&L or this is going to be weakened through this P&L. Is it okay up to this point?
Hello, sir. How are we measuring this performance?
Pardon?
How are we measuring this performance? You said that the performance is the outcome of expense and revenue. So only by expense and revenue we are measuring our performance, or there are some other factors also?
So I am also, so Abhi, right now I am saying expense and revenue, they are the performance related things, right? So and there is another statement which will also be covered within the category of the performance. But right now what we are trying to say, balance sheet is getting help through the performance of the business in accounting year, and performance related statement is P&L account, right? And this P&L account is speaking about your arrangement related to the expenses and revenue. Mathematical outcome could be profit or loss or break even. Sir.
Hello, sir.
Yes.
That how we are saying that that 80% profit that we are regaining. So how it is contributing to the equity?
No, so we are saying profit after tax, let's say, is 100, and you are distributing dividend of 20 rupee, right? So whatever is remaining, how much is remaining? 80. So you are trying to say you are retaining 80 rupee within your company, and this 80 rupee will be able to give growth to your capital or balance sheet. This is what I'm trying to say. Why? Because this 100 rupee cannot give growth to your capital. Why? Because you are supposed to pay for the dividend. Let's assume that this year you are not planning to pay for the dividend, or there's no dividend. Let's say, for example, dividend is 0. Then in this case, 100 rupees is going to give growth to your capital. Sir.
Yeah, yes.
Right. So I am just throwing some number saying that if you are paying for the dividend and dividend is paid for 20 rupees, let's say 20 rupees, so remaining amount, because now you are saying there is nothing to pay to anyone. So 80 rupee I am retaining with me, and whatever I am retaining with me will be able to give growth to my capital. This is what I am trying to say. Sir, is it okay?
Right, clear.
Okay. Now, if I am going to look at the nature of the balance sheet I am saying as on some date, month and year. So date, month and year, right? The moment I am saying income statement, which is called P&L account, another name is income statement. So just let me tell you, some US or UK based company, they write income statement, and India we say profit and loss account. There's no change, right? So terminologies, they are different, treatment is the same, right? In my country, we are saying like profit and loss account. In both the cases, expense and revenue, they are being covered by both the statements, right? They look like the same, they are covering the same kind of issues, right? But when I'm looking at income statement or profit and loss account, what do you think? Should I say they are the statement should be for as on?
No, for the period.
They should be for the period. So if they are for the period, what should be the right language? Shall I say for the year ended?
Yeah, maybe quarterly or year ended.
Okay. So I am saying for the year
For the
ended.
fiscal year.
Okay. So, but there should be some date, month and time and year, sir. So date, month and year. Okay. Now this is the position of your business. So this is how in accounting finance we write. When you are writing the profit and loss, you are saying for the year ended. And when you are looking at the balance sheet, you are saying as on, because it is a kind of a snapshot of your business at a given point in time. But income statement is a kind of performance related statement, which is going to look at the performance of your business throughout the year, right? So that is why you are not saying as on, but you are saying for the year ended. Shall I say the moment I am writing the balance sheet? So let's say I am writing balance sheet on, let's say, for example, let's say today is 29th September. For example, I am saying. So let's say today is 29th September 2021. I am willing to write my balance sheet for 29th September 2021. I am today is 29th September. I am just trying to understand what is the position of my business, and hence I am writing my balance sheet to understand the financial statement, or sorry, financial position of my company. Should I write my profit and loss for the same date? Let's say I'm saying P&L for the year ended. My question is clear?
I think
today. Yes, sir.
Sir, once again repeat, sir.
I am writing my balance sheet as on 29th September 2021. Let's say today is 29th September 2021. Trying to understand my financial position, and hence I am writing my balance sheet today. Today is 29th. What are you understanding? What do you take on this? Should I write my P&L also for 29th September 2021?
Yes, sir.
No,
So
no.
it should be from 1st April to 29th of September.
Correct. So that means I understand that 1st April, you are starting the accounting year and you are supposed to close by 31st March. But in between somewhere you have some requirement to understand the position of the business, which is 29th September. This is the September. So the moment you are writing your balance sheet as on 29th September, would you also write your P&L as on or for the year ended by from 1st April to 29th September?
Yes, sir.
This is clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Clear.
Right? Because you are just trying to understand. If you are trying to understand the position of the balance sheet by 29th September, that means you are also trying to say how was my performance from 1st April to 29th September. So this is a very important information. My dates, they should not be different, right? My dates related to the balance sheet and my date related to the P&L, they are going to be the same, right? Balance sheet is talking about the, not only for this financial year, it is talking about 10 years back also, right? Because whatever you are going to write in the name of liability and asset, they are the combination of all year related performance, all year related liability and assets, right? So 10 years back you invested, how it is going to be mature by this year, right? What is the position? So let's say for example, you purchase some land. 10 years back you invested in some land, and land has had some value of 1 crore rupees, right? So can I say land is the asset of the firm?
Yes.
Right? So let's say one of the asset you are writing land, right? What value of the land you will be writing? Would you still write 1 crore rupees as on
No.
29th?
No.
No.
The cost, market cost of the as on 29.
As on 29. That means you will also add some appreciation, sir. I think this is what you are trying to say, isn't it? Let's say appreciation is 50 lakh. So what final value you would like to report in your balance sheet? You will say 1 crore 50 lakh rupees, not 1 crore rupees, isn't it? So that means what I am trying to say, whatever you are writing in your balance sheet, that is the thing that is actually getting matured over the period of 10 years. But in P&L, whatever you are writing, that is talking about the story of your performance from 1st April to this date. So this is a very important point. Okay, let's say you invested in some machinery, and machinery you purchased, it had some useful period of life of 20 years. Means machinery you can use till 20 years, it will perform, right? And you machinery 10 years back you purchased for, let's say, 50,000 rupees, right? How would you write this machinery? So machinery is also your asset. You are saying
Yes.
machinery. You are saying machinery. Should you write 50,000 rupees as per
No,
the
sir,
current value of the machinery?
minus
No.
depreciation.
No.
So depreciation we have to
Stationary
count.
cost minus depreciation.
Correct. So you are saying 50,000 minus whatever depreciation is given, and this final value will be writing, isn't it, sir?
Yes.
So we are very logically thinking in terms of balance sheet. We are saying whatever, how many years I have completed, we have completed 10 years, 10 financial years we have completed. That is okay. I invested on machinery 50,000 rupees. But what is the position of my machinery? Because I am writing my balance sheet. I am trying to understand the value of each and every asset as on 29th September 2021. And as per 29th September 2021, I am getting the information that machinery is getting depreciated by some certain amount. So remaining value of the asset I will be writing over there, right? Okay. Can I say land is going to be depreciated also? Can I say this?
If it is on lease.
Okay, if it is on lease. Can you please elaborate, sir, if it is on lease?
I mean, land basically you are not owning. It is ultimately owned by somebody else, and you are just using for your production and for your industrial activity. So here it is. I mean, it is not giving you anything in return. In return, it is mostly. Increasing your liability. That's what my understanding is.
Okay. What is the nature of the land? If I am comparing machinery and land, let's say, what is the nature of machinery?
So it depreciate with the time in most of the cases, and land give you appreciation with time.
Okay.
As
Yeah. Please go ahead.
Yeah, generally it is the tendency, means as land is a limited resource, so in any case, or you can say in most of the cases, you will get the appreciation for the land if it is owned by you.
Okay. Okay. So what is the nature of machinery? Is it a kind of tangible asset for you? If I look at the machinery is the tangible asset for you.
Yes, sir, actually machinery
Yes,
has
it
a
is.
lifespan, so it will be depreciating. Machinery has a lifespan of 20 years, 15 years, whatever it may be. So, so it is after 20 years, so the value will be zero.
Ji. So you
But
are
for
saying
land, it is not like
okay.
that.
So sir, I will attempt this one. This is a very important information you are trying to give. You are saying after 20 years value will be zero, but this is not going to happen in the case of land. So I will come back to you. Just give me 1 minute. I'm just targeting the nature of machinery. Can I say machinery is my tangible asset? Can I say this?
Yes.
Okay. Can I say this is tangible but fixed asset? Can I say
Yes.
this is fixed asset?
Yes.
Okay. What is the nature of land? Can I also say this is also
Same.
tangible?
Tangible and fixed.
Yes.
So tangible and fixed asset. Okay. So that means if I am going to look at the fixed assets, which is coming in the category of the asset, there are two type of the asset. One is tangible, like machinery, plant, building, furniture, etc., etc., and another is intangible. Can you please give me example of intangibles?
Brand value.
Brand value. Okay. And
Intellectual property.
intellectual property. And copyright,
Your software, yeah, intellectual
software,
property.
etc., etc.
Yeah.
Right. So we have fair understanding with the intangibles. Okay. And tangibles. Both are the part of the fixed asset. And these tangibles, they are liable for depreciation and also appreciation. Are you with me?
Yes.
Right. So if I look at the category of the fixed asset, which name is tangible, possibilities are there. Some tangible fixed asset, they can be depreciated or some could be appreciated. One of the example for the appreciation could be land. Sir, can I also include gold? For example, let's say gold, right? Okay. So I'm not going to give you the list of the items which is going to be appreciated, but I will give you some timeline, right? As per the timeline, you will be deciding whether this is going to be appreciated or depreciated, right? Okay. Now look at these intangibles. What do you think? These brand name, your intellectual property. Can I also say emotions of the employee? They are the intangible asset for the company. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, इसको कोई value नहीं दिया जाता है. Right? Value क्यों नहीं दिया जाता? Because this is not quantified properly. So there are some certain institute they are working on. They are researching in terms of emotion, productivity, right? Related things of the employee. The moment they are going to come, they are going to finalize the mathematical outcome where all emotions and productivity of the employee, they are going to be quantified. Obviously, these are the things they will be reported in the balance sheet, right? So what I am trying to say, they are not quantified properly. When they are not quantified, you cannot write in your balance sheet because you need some number, right? So some number is required, some valuation, proper valuation technique is required. So that number or that valuation technique is missing, right? So there is an institute, internally generated intangible asset related institute, where Professor Baruch Lees, he is working on that, and he is working in this area where he is trying to bring some certain kind of formula or some derivation he's doing, some model he is going to prepare, where he is saying that if this is going to be succeeded, then emotions, productivity kind of thing related to the employee, they will be counted as a asset of the firm. Is it okay up to this point?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But anyway, so this is the future thing, and but we have some expectation. They are the things they will be counted. Likewise, brand value. Brand value, there are some certain model related to the evaluation or quantification of the brand value. So there are some certain few company, they are able to write the value of the brand in their balance sheet. Not all companies. Are you with me? All companies, they are not writing the value of the brand in their balance sheet asset side, but there are some certain, let's say, IT companies, mostly IT companies, they are able to write their brand value in their balance sheet as an asset of the firm. Sir.
Sir, but how to derive that particular value or the amount? Like company, it is a self-declared value or
no,
some third party?
For brand value, there are some certain model, they are identified, they are justified. So I am just giving you some clue related to that. So what they are doing, they are calculating the back NPV. Something is called NPV, right? Net present value. So they are going to calculate back NPV till the date from where you started generating the revenue. Are you getting this point? So they are able to identify some certain date and time from where you were able to generate the revenue. Now it is not possible in the case of Tata or Bata, right? Or similar kind of company. 100 years back they started, right? Now they don't have any kind of data set where they are able to say this was the date from where I was able to generate the revenue, right? But IT company, they have very short period of the time, 20 years back or 25 years back, or let's say 15 years back they started. So everything is given in terms of data and all software, all information, they are available on internet and all. So somewhere, some IT companies, they are able to identify that date and time from where they were able to generate the revenue, right? So in this kind of company related cases, the calculation of brand value is going to be easy, right? So that is why mostly some of the IT companies, they are properly able to calculate the brand value. They are being audited by the auditors and all, and they are getting the justification from their side. And finally, they are able to write the brand value of their brand or their company in their asset side of the balance sheet, right? Am I audible?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
right?
sir.
But anyway, we will not look at the brand value, how to calculate the brand value, because I need to understand what is NPV, right? So this NPV will be discussed in last 3 sessions of the same program. So first we will try to understand the NPV. Then thereafter I will be sending you some reading note related, very interesting reading note related to how company they are calculating their brand value, right? The moment I understand NPV, I will be able to understand how to calculate the back NPV, right? But anyway, this is the information I am just trying to give. Whenever you are going to read the balance sheet, you should not be surprised that why some company they are reporting the brand value in their balance sheet, why some company they are not reporting. So this is the issue related to the valuation, right? And valuation is asking for this particular date and time. If this is missing, you will not be able to calculate your brand value, right? Anyway, similarly, some other company, they are also working on emotions and intelligence or productivity of the employee, and the moment they are able to identify some certain justifiable number, they will be able to report over there. But this is not allowed right now, right? Okay. So coming back to the things, what is my objective of looking at the tangible? What I'm trying to say, the tangible, they are brand value or copyright. Can I say your tangible also your license? Can I say this?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. License is also your tangible, intangible. Okay. So if license is intangible, would it be able to lose some value over the period of the accounting year? What do you think? Likewise, your machinery is losing some value over the period. Can I say your license, let's say license you purchase every year, you are going to renew the license. Every year you are investing the license. Can you say that after 6 months you cannot say the same value of the license you have as it was before the 6 months back? So for example, let's say 1st April to 31st March, you invested in license 1200 rupees. Can I say value of the license will be 0 on 31st March if this is for 1 year?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What would be the value of the license after 6 months?
600 rupees.
No, sir. I think it will remain
It will remain
constant.
same.
Constant
No, sir,
because
600 rupees.
so suppose at the after 6 months, say in the September, you are going to purchase a new license. Then also at that time you have to invest 1200 rupees. Because ultimately it is a fixed cost for the 1 year or a 12-month duration. So I think it should remain constant, or it is a fixed expense for the whole year, and
So,
it is not going to depreciate either 100 or 0.
Conceptually it is absolutely correct, but why it is correct? Because you are talking about license in terms of some certain cost, isn't it? You are looking license as a cost or expense, right?
Yeah.
So absolutely correct. When I'm paying the cost, it is one-time payment of the cost. In the name itself is a kind of cost I have paid, right? So obviously, whenever I'm going to look at, I will say, yeah, this is the cost I have paid. But look at the nature of the license. Would you say this license is your expense, or you will say this is your asset? So my license is my expense or my asset?
Expense.
Sir, both. I think asset is also there because with the help of that you are going to run your business. So we can consider it as a asset also.
Correct. Sir, what is good name? मैं आपको देख नहीं पा रहा हूँ, आपका नाम भी नहीं देख पा रहा हूँ.
Vishal Soni.
Vishal sir. So sir, you rightly pointed out the thing, and so there is some certain confusion related to license. Basically, I will whenever I am going to encounter with a license, I will say this is my expense. Fair enough. But look at the nature of the license. Without license, you cannot operate your business, isn't it? Hello? Are you okay with this? I'm saying without license, you cannot operate your business, isn't it?
Same like, sir, without machinery or without land.
Same like machinery or any
land,
other right?
resources. Yeah.
Okay. So license is, that means license is one of the resource for me, right? No matter it has some limited period, maybe 1 year or 1.5 years or 2 years, but license is a kind of prerequisite to do my business, isn't it? Sir.
It is a legal requirement.
Legal requirement.
Yeah.
So look at the nature of the license. License is a kind of prerequisite to do your business. So always remember, anything which is considered as prerequisite to do your business should be considered always as asset of the firm. I am repeating again. Anything which you identify as a prerequisite to do your business should not be considered as expenses, but it should be considered as asset of the firm. I think this is okay. Because this is the asset you are carrying. On the basis of that, you will be able to run your business. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
okay.
sir.
Now, if license is your asset, now look at here. You invested on a asset which name is license 1200 rupee, and trying to understand the value of that asset let's say year or validity of that particular asset is only 1 year, right? And trying to understand the value of that asset on 31st March, you are saying it has become 0. So that means on 1st April next year, again, you are going to renew or you are going to invest in the license, right? I'm saying what would happen if I am going to see the position of my business after 6 months? How would I comment on my license? Can I say license of 600 rupee is already utilized, and remaining 600 rupee related license is supposed to be utilized? Can I say this?
Yes.
No, sir, it will be same. It
No,
will be
sir.
same 1200.
1200 it will be.
Okay.
I have a point here. So, assuming like we have not purchased this license in the on the date 1st April of the so and so financial year. Now, assumption is it should be 1200 rupees whenever we are purchasing. So, if we purchase it on 1st October of that year, initial 6 months we have not purchased, and we go by same assumption like we will purchase it for 1200 rupees on the 1st October. But if we see the validity, then validity is for 1 year. So it means even after 31st March, we would able to use it for balance 6 months. That is without any additional amount paying. Hence, it is depreciated in this case.
Okay. So, sir, आप अपने आप बोल रहे हैं, hence it is depreciated in this case, right? You are saying hence it is depreciated in this case. Let's say, for example, I will look at, so fair enough. You are saying October you are purchasing for 1200 rupee. So October, so November, December, Jan, Feb, March. How many months? 5 months for this financial year,
6
and
months.
another.
Yeah, 6.
Okay, 6 months for this financial year, and remaining 6 months for the next financial year, roughly June.
Yeah.
Right. So if I am going to bifurcate, right, I'm saying for this year, I understand I invested 1200 rupee. So let's say I am on 1st April. I am standing here. How would I look at the license? How would I look at the license? Can I say I am still in the position of the license for 1200 rupee?
No.
Or some portion of the license is depreciated, as you mentioned.
It is depreciated.
Depreciated by how much?
50%.
50%. Means remaining, so 600 rupee is depreciated. Remaining 600 rupee is the current value of the license as on 1st April. Isn't it, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, because you rightly pointed out, you are saying that competition is correct, but some noise is coming from your background, I think. So if I am going to look at the license, and if I am saying license is going to be depreciated, if license is a kind of asset, so obviously this asset is going to be depreciated or appreciated. So let's say it is going to be depreciated by 600 rupee. So, but in accounting, that term is not called depreciation. This is called amortization. So what I'm trying to say, whenever you are charging some or reducing the price of some certain tangible asset, whenever you are looking at tangible asset related depreciation, you are writing some certain name as depreciation. Whenever you are looking at intangible asset related depreciation, right, or you are reducing some value of the intangible asset, that term of that process is called amortization. So mathematically they are doing the same thing. So terminologies, they are going to be different. If you are dealing with tangible, you are saying depreciation. If you are dealing with intangible, you are saying amortization. Mathematically, in both the cases, you are reducing the value. Is it okay up to this point? Hello.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, so आगे बढ़ूं?
Yes, sir.
So amortization. So I think this is now clear because I'm losing some value, whatever date is given, maybe October or September or April or.
Sir,
Yes, sir.
one question. So, for example, let's say we have considered brand value as one of the component. Now we are assuming a case whereby brand value is increasing, but let's say something is happening and the company's brand value is not increasing but decreasing because of some there are some legal issues or some accidents are happening. So in this so this is also case of amortization whereby it will
Amortization.
decrease.
Any intangible asset, either it will be appreciated or amortized. Any tangible asset, either it will be appreciated or depreciated.
Got it.
Is it okay? Okay. Only difference is like term is they are different. So treatment is going to be the same. Terminology they are different, right? But mathematically you are going to react the same way, right? Okay. So basically what we are saying, there are some certain fixed assets. Okay, they are tangible and intangible. I am also adding another component within the fixed asset, which is called investment. Right? So what is happening? Sometime your company or as a company, you are also investing in some certain mutual funds. You are purchasing some shares, you are purchasing some gold. So let's say mutual fund, you are purchasing some shares or you are purchasing some gold, right? So this kind of investment done by the company, they are also coming within the asset, which is called fixed asset of the firm. Is it okay? Are you okay with this? Okay.
Yeah.
So basically what I'm trying to say, if you are looking at the nature of the asset, they are tangible, they are intangible. Another component is also investment. Investment is simple like your company, because you are not only making money through operation, right? There are other sources of the income for you. They are not operational, but they are the other sources of the income for you. So you are keeping some fund, you are cash rich, right? You have some liquidity, so you are investing in mutual fund, purchasing shares of the other company, purchasing on gold bond, etc., etc., right? So they are the category because you are making investments, right? So they are also creating asset for you as a company, right? And that is why they are the part of that, right? Now,
so even
another
even buyback is also under investment.
they are the investment,
Okay.
right? I will look at the buyback in terms of accounting, how to make arrangement, but right now they are the investment because you are making investment, right?
Okay.
Now another component I am adding here. So one is fixed asset, another is called current asset. Current asset. So I'm just going to give you conveniently. I am just trying to bring issues related to the classification of the asset. So I'm saying how many assets could be there in the balance sheet. One is fixed asset. Within the fixed, there are tangible, intangible, and investments. Another category is current asset. So if I'm saying something is current, how do you look at the current? What is the meaning of current? I'm saying
Cash
something
flow,
is current asset.
cash flow, cash on hand.
Cash on hand. Okay. So cash in hand. Can I say bank balance?
Okay. And inventory.
Correct. Inventory.
Sir, what is the difference between cash on hand and bank balance?
कैश इन हैंड सर आपकी जेब में और आपकी तिजोरी में जो पैसा रखा है वो कैश
नहीं
इन
sir,
हैंड.
as far as it is a personal thing, then it is okay. Otherwise, for the big companies, I think bank balance and cash on hand should be same.
No, so typically the money which I am keeping in my bank account, that is called
Bank balance.
cash at bank or bank balance. Apart from that, if I am keeping some money with me, because maybe day-to-day basis I am paying to the laborers, right?
Okay.
So I need some cash. So this
It's the
kind of
hard
cash I
cash.
am keeping, hard cash.
cash.
They are
Okay.
the hard cash, right?
Okay.
Because every time मैं पेटीएम से पे नहीं कर पाऊंगा या अकाउंट से नहीं करूंगा.
It
There
is
are some certain.
just like paying by voucher payment.
जी जी. So every day I am paying something. So I need some available cash, right? So they are the hard cash. And apart from that, whatever cash I have, that is bank balance, right? Sir, is it okay?
Yes, sir.
And again, this bank balance, because you are running a company, this is related to the current account only. Is it okay? This is because you are running a company, so you are not running your company with a kind of bank account of the saving account. You are running a company, and you need to open the current account. Are you okay with this?
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
Right. So this is current account I am saying. It is not related to the FDs and saving account, right? If you are talking about FD and savings, then they will come here. Sir, is it okay? Because FDs, they are a kind of investment on which you will be getting some return on investment, ROI, right? So when I am talking about the hard cash and bank balance, that bank balance is current account related, right? What is inventory?
The material lying at the workplace,
Okay.
they may be converted into the finished good or maybe direct selling.
Sir, inventory means the whatever the money you have invested for the raw material or all the resources which will be needed to make the finished product.
So inventory could be for finished goods also or raw material also.
Yeah, finished goods also, like
Right.
stocking of the raw material, finished products in a warehouse, or the expenses related with the warehouse of the finished product or the raw material, whatever it is.
Sir, what is the objective also? So fair enough. So inventory could be raw material related, could be finished goods related. But what is the objective of keeping inventory in go down? What are you expecting from that inventory?
To run the production smoothly, because it is not always possible to bring the raw material particularly or exactly on the required time and date, because for the running the business smoothly you need some backup or the buffer, so production line won't get affected.
So sir, you have some inventory of raw material, you have processed that raw material converting in the finished goods.
Yeah.
And now that finished goods you are keeping in the go down. What is the next step?
Then it should go to the market, means selling of the
It should
finished
go to the
goods.
market.
Yeah.
Right? So
Sir,
this is the
inventory means
cyclical.
spare items. Inventory means spare, which is required in case of any emergency or in a frequent period of time we required. That we call it as inventory, and we keep it at our warehouses.
Okay. So there are two thought process. In manufacturing kind of thing, I say there are some certain inventory I am keeping in the name of spare items, and whenever I need, I will be taking help from them, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Another thought process, because business to business, the definition of inventory is going to be changed, right? So let's say I am a manufacturing company related to the share manufacturing company. So plastic, etc., they are my raw material. I am processing them and converting in the finished goods, keeping this finished goods in my go down. So what is my next step? I will try to sell them, right? So what is my objective? If I am keeping that
ensuring business
inventory of,
continuity.
pardon sir, I could not hear.
Sir, items required to ensure our business continuity.
Huh. So again, so that finished goods which I am keeping in my go down, like let's say furniture. So what is the objective of keeping that furniture in the go down? I am trying to sell them, right? When I am saying I am trying to sell them, what is my thought process? Should I assume that I will be selling them whenever I am convenient to sell them, or I should be able to sell them within the accounting year?
So it is always try to sell in a accounting year.
Okay, I should always try to sell them within the accounting year, isn't it?
Right, sir.
right? So if you look at the nature of the inventory दिखता तो काफी बड़ा सा एक कुछ fixed kind of thing which is I'm keeping there in my godown, but objective of keeping that inventory is to convert to the sale, and quickly sale means trying to convert in cash. Basically, I am trying to convert in some certain kind of cash. Either I will be keeping that cash in my pocket or I will be keeping in my bank account, but I am keeping that inventory and I am trying to sell them जितनी जल्दी से जल्दी हो सकता है मुझे उसको बेचना है, so that I can convert this component or unit of the inventory into the sale, and finally that cash should be generated. So this is the objective of inventory. Can I say inventory is cash equivalent?
I think not, sir.
Okay. What is the meaning of cash equivalent?
Cash,
Yes, it is.
suppose you have a say 1,000 rupee cash, at any point of time it will remain the same value like 1,000 rupee cash. But in
Okay.
case of inventory, you have to apply some market dynamics as well. Suppose whatever the inventory you have and suddenly there is some problem in the market for that particular product, then maybe the value of that raw material or inventory will get appreciated.
That is okay.
And
Either
also
so maybe
you no sir, and one more thing, also to keep that inventory, you also have to do some expenses, like you are keeping your finished product or raw material in warehouses or godown. You need to have some regular expenses like the rent of that godown or salary of the people who are looking after the godown, whatever. But for that inventory you have to put some money as an expense, so it will not be considered as good as cash.
okay. So I am saying what is cash equivalent? Cash equivalent means anything which is quickly converted in terms of cash. Can I say inventory is one of the component which can be quickly converted in cash?
It depends, maybe vary from business to business.
Okay.
Okay, suppose you are in a business of huge machinery, then you can't sell it uh, just in a day. It is very hard to
Yeah.
find a, and you are in a business of FMCG, then definitely you can sell it. But still, there are certain limitations. Suppose you have a inventory of finished products, say few hundred or few thousand rupees. It is not necessary that definitely you are going to sell it, or you will find the buyers at that your as per your requirement.
Okay. Fair enough. But in both the cases, either this is FMCG related case or huge machinery related cases, when you look at the inventory, objective is to convert in share, is to convert in cash, isn't it?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So if you are saying objective is to convert in cash, that is called cash equivalent. Now,
Okay.
cash in some certain cases, cash can be generated, like FMCG frequency zyada hoga. Like in huge machinery, it may be, or you may not be able to achieve your target within the accounting year. That is possible thing,
Yeah.
right? But if you look at the nature of an inventory, that is supposed to be there so that you can convert in cash.
Hello, sir. In our case, for transmission line and substation, we have the inventory to ensure that our assets, our lines and substation, they remain healthy. So many times we will be having spares as a part of inventory for long years. And whenever after 5 years or say 10 years, if some part of the asset fail, then we replace that. So in it, how can we say that the cash equivalent? We are just
Sir,
for 10 years that spare was
correct.
lying at our side and we use it after 10 years.
Sir, so
But,
what happened?
sir,
So what happened?
it is just like a that whenever you make any inventory for the any long utilizations, maybe as and when required on urgent basis. So in a always in our balance sheet we make a some that buying value as a inventory value.
Correct. So let me clarify this, because what happened in transmission or related businesses, The spare part which I am keeping in my go down, I am saying them inventory. Where objective of that inventory is not to sell, but to support the fixed asset.
Right.
Right? And
Right.
this component of the inventory, by default, you are saying this is my inventory of the spare or bolts, nuts, etc., etc. But objective of that component of inventory is to enhance the value of the fixed asset, like machinery or plant, right? So this inventory is a kind of part of your fixed asset. So again and again, we are going back to the inventory component, which I am experiencing in my company as a transmission, where I am saying some spare parts I am keeping in my go down, and which is going to help or which is going to enhance the useful period of life of my fixed asset, right? That is something which in other term can be known as repair and maintenance related support, and that support is coming through this inventory, right? So by default, by the practice, but not by default, we are saying in this kind of nature of the business, like our transmission, we are saying we are keeping the inventory to support the fixed asset. So I'm not talking about that inventory which is supporting the fixed asset. I'm talking about the inventory which is the component of the current asset, which is absolutely equals to or convertible to the cash. Now, in this case, the kind of inventory you are targeting in the name of parts and bolts and all, they are not equivalent to cash. Their duty is to enhance the value of the fixed asset or useful period of life of the asset. So I'm not talking about any inventory which is related to the fixed asset. I'm talking about the inventory related to the component which is cash equivalent. I think this is clear. Sir.
Yes, sir.
वो पार्ट्स वगैरह तो मैं बेचने ही नहीं है, वो तो मेरे फिक्स एसेट के ही पार्ट हैं. आई एम कीपिंग देम. जब भी कुछ गड़बड़ हुआ मैंने उसमें वहां पे फिट किया. So they are as good as they are the part of my fixed asset.
Sir,
right?
Can we consider the inventory for the raw material as equivalent to cash?
Correct. So we are writing over there. So inventory of raw material, inventory for finished goods, right?
Both are cash equivalent.
They are cash equivalent. So again, I think this is clear. The kind of inventory you are targeting for parts and all, they are as good as the part of your fixed asset. So fixed asset we have already completed. When I am targeting the current asset, my objective of looking at the current asset, I am trying to identify some certain kind of thing which can be converted in cash within the accounting year. Are you okay? Are you okay with this? Whenever I am trying to look at the current asset, that asset should be equivalent to cash. So 1st April to 31st March, I am experiencing some cash, I am experiencing some bank balance, I am experiencing some inventory, but that inventory should be cash equivalent. And when I am saying cash equivalent, that means it should be quickly converted in cash within the accounting year. Right? So I am looking at the inventory which is convertible in cash within the accounting year. That is why this nature of the asset, they are called cash equivalent. So anything, if I am going to make my life simple, I am saying anything which is called cash equivalent, idea is they are supposed to be converted in cash within the accounting year. Is it okay? This is the expectation from that asset.
Yeah, sir.
Right? Now, if I am saying account receivable, if I am saying account receivable, how do you look at the account receivable? What is the meaning of account receivable?
Sir, I think you have sold some finished product and your payment terms is say 30 days, for example. Okay, so selling value is say 1 lakh rupee, So after 30 days, you are going to receive that 1 lakh rupee. So it should be the account receivable. It should be
Yes.
considered as account receivable.
So when I look at the account receivable, that means I must have sold something on credit.
Yeah.
Now I'm waiting for my money, isn't it?
Exactly, sir.
And I have
Right.
given some credit line to my customer, maybe 30 days, 45 days,
Yeah.
or 60
Whatever it
days,
is.
as per my practice of the company or practice of the sector,
Yeah.
right? Because my company in the same sector, whatever practice they have, more or less I am following the same. Otherwise, my balance sheet will be in difficulty, in a kind of difficult position, because this money I am supposed to realize from my customer, right? Within the standard practice. What is your expectation? Because they are the customer, they are purchasing some finished goods from you. What is your expectation? Let's say they are not meeting the credit line. What is your expectation? Won't you expect that they at least they should be realized by 31st March? Am I audible?
Yeah, definitely. It will be expected at that.
It is expected.
That within the same financial year, it should be get closed. It should be the expectation. Yeah.
So that means fair enough. So expectation is like they should be realized. This is the expectation.
Yeah.
Right? This is my expectation. Inventory is my expectation to sell within the accounting year. This is my expectation. Right? I don't know how my market and customer they are going to react with me. But my expectation to inventory is to convert in cash. The same way, my expectation to account receivable is to convert in cash. That means they should be realized within the accounting year, right? Can I say this is also a kind of component of the cash equivalent?
Right.
Right? So, sir, what I am trying to say, if I am going to look at the typical nature of the asset, I am saying there are two type of asset. One type of asset is current. One type of asset is fixed. Within the fixed, you have intangible, you have tangible, and you have investments, right? Tangible assets also they are getting help from a kind of inventory of the parts, etc., etc. So that is different kind of inventory. When I am talking about the inventory which is cash equivalent, that time I am thinking about the current assets. What are the typical current assets of the business? So one is your cash in hand, core cash, then bank balance, your inventory, and your account receivable. So basically, current asset, if I am going to define what is called current asset, anything which is in cash or equivalent to cash is known as current asset. No need to say what is equivalent to cash. That amount should be realized within the accounting year. This is the expectation from that component. So again, I am repeating, if you are looking at current asset, you are looking at cash or anything which is equivalent to cash. Equivalent to cash का मतलब कभी भी नहीं. That should be realized or that should be converted in cash within the accounting year. So two examples could be inventory and account receivable. Is it okay up to this point, sir?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Any
Sir, I have
question?
a question.
Yes, sir.
So, sir, let's say I'm just posing a hypothetical scenario. So the payment cycle is of 30 days. And let's say that product is sold on 15th of March. Okay. So we are expecting that customer to repay that amount within that 30 days of cycle. Now we are closing the balance sheet. So that account receivable will be in that financial year, or it will be go in the next financial year's balance
So
sheet.
let's say 15th March you are selling. So let's say 30 days credit you have given. You are selling on credit. So obviously you will not be able to realize by 31st March, isn't it? Right?
Right.
So when you are writing your balance sheet, because you are writing your balance sheet on 15th, which is let's say you are writing on balance sheet on 31st March, right? For that year. So
Yeah,
by that time
31st
you cannot realize. So in your
Hmm.
balance sheet you are saying account receivable, whatever amount is given. which is going to tell the stakeholders or readers or customer of that balance sheet, they will be able to understand this is the amount is realizable from the customer, right? Obviously, they will check with your notes of account. They will be able to understand why this amount is not realized. They will get the, because you were able to sell on 15, right? This is a very important area. If you are carrying huge amount of account receivables for a account and again saying that you are not able to realize your money from the market, it is a kind of big question mark on your efficiency and realization process, right? In this case, this is a very important thing to report in your financial statements somewhere as a notes of account, saying that this is the account receivable which I am reporting there. They are related to 15th March, and credit period is given 30 days, and hence when I am closing the balance sheet, I am keeping that amount as account receivable with some certain amount, whatever, let's say 1,000 rupees, right? Fair enough, because market or customer or investor, they will be reading, now it is a kind of positive thing because you cannot realize within the accounting year, within the 31st March, right? In the next accounting year, they will also, again, they will try to see, were you able to realize that money within 30 days or not? Means roughly by 15th April, right? So if you are realizing by 15th April, that is okay with you. In the sense, you are a efficient company, you are realizing within the accounting period, within the credit period. Sir, is it okay?
Sir, I have one query. Suppose I have sold the products in the month of June, the credit period 30 days, but after the end of the financial year 31st March, in any case or due to some unavoidable circumstance from my customer side, I have not received the payment after 9 months even instead of 30 days. Now, what will it will also consider in the account receivable or
Yes,
may
yes,
some in
because
some dispute?
your balance sheet is very fair thing, which is saying money is not received yet by 31st March. And hence, you are writing that component in the asset side as account receivable. You are not saying I have lost money. That customer is not saying that he will not be paying, but he is again and again requesting for additional credit period kind of thing. Let's say June में sale हुआ और 30 दिन में देना था, but he is not able to pay by 31st March. So, but there is no signal from his side that he will not be paying, right? So obviously you are saying this is account receivable, but you will have some certain question that boss, this is the period you have completed. This is 31st March. You are not paying me, let's say 1,000 rupee. Would you be able to pay full amount of the 1,000 rupee? So he is saying, I am dicey, maybe I will be able to pay because market is not good, this and that. So what you have done, you are making provision against him, or you are making some valuation or adjustment against him, saying that my account receivable is 1,000 rupees by 31st March. And what is happening, I have done some survey that this guy or you, that the customer has declared that 200 rupees he will not be able to pay. That's it, right? So the moment you are getting this kind of information, you are immediately making some provision against that customer, saying that this is the bad debt. How much remaining you should be reporting as account receivable in your balance sheet as on 31st March?
800.
800 rupees.
Sir,
Right.
I have one question. Many times when we sell some product or in Adani we buy some goods, at that time there is some defect liability period, say 1 year. In the month of June, suppose vendor has sold some machinery and defect liability period is say 1 year, and they say 1 lakh rupee, 10% is the defect liability or retention money. Okay, so in his balance sheet, he will consider 10,000 as a amount receivable. Like
In
in the
which-
month of June, he's selling one equipment for 1 lakh rupee,
Hmm.
and we are paying him 90% only, say 90,000, and 10% we keep with us as a defect liability money, as a
Which you will
security.
be paying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if there is no problem within 1 year, we will pay it.
Hmm.
So that 10,000 rupees will be considered as an amount receivable for his,
Correct.
yeah. And
Correct. So
if he has shown that 10,000 as an amount receivable, and after the 1st of March, there is some issue with that machinery, and uh, we cut 5,000 and pay only remaining 5,000 to that vendor, then what will be shown in the balance sheet?
Ji. Abhi, now there is no cut when we will talking about the first information. So that customer is saying that guy he is saying to you, because that transaction is related to the 1 lakh rupee, where
Yeah.
payment is done for 90 only, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he will be saying cash inflow, or he
Yeah.
will say revenue he has generated for
90.
90.
Yeah.
And this 10,000 is account receivable, correct?
Yeah.
10,000 rupees account receivable, which he is writing in his balance sheet, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what he is writing in his P&L account, right?
Okay. Yeah.
His cash inflow is 90,000 rupees, and the same time his revenue is in P&L account 90,000 rupees.
Mhm.
And account receivable he is writing as balance sheet. So what is happening in the balance sheet? It's a very good question. तो आपने क्या है पूरा उसको बैलेंस शीट को खोल दिया है. So basically, when you are going to look at the balance sheet, if you look at the liability and asset of that guy, and you are going to look at the P&L of that guy, so he will be writing some expenses and revenue. And at the same time, you look at the cash flow of that guy, which is inflow and outflow. Now look at this transaction. That guy he will be saying that revenue I have generated for 90,000.
Yeah.
And inflow of cash is also 90,000.
Yeah.
Okay. And you are the old customer or old client. You always pay in time. No matter you are retaining this 10,000 rupee, but I have full expectation. Means I am that guy, right? And you are retaining that 10,000 rupee, but I have full expectation that you will pay in time and you will be paying after some time. Let's say, for example, I will not say that. So what I am going to do, I will say my account receivable is 10,000.
Yeah.
At the same time, this is also I am writing, means that guy he's writing as 10,000 over there as likely to be received. Likely to be
Received.
Why he is writing likely to be received? Because you are the old customer, old client. You always pay in time. Why he should compromise with his revenue of 10,000 rupees, which he is supposed to report to the auditors, or to the stakeholders, or to the competitors, or customers, right? If he is not writing there, that means he is going to reduce the price of 10,000 rupees as revenue, which will be going to affect his final profit and loss, right? So what is going to happen in revenue? It is allowed to write something which you have received and something which is likely to be received. Now this is very important to understand. Likely to be received, he will be treating you as likely to be received because as per the record, you always pay in time, right? And hence he is writing 10,000 rupees is likely to be received. Let's say you are a old customer, but you don't pay always some 10,000 rupees, 5,000 rupees. So what is happening? Rather than writing this 10,000 rupee as likely to be received, you will just run this 10,000 rupee as account receivable. Are you getting this point?
Yeah.
Now in this case, this is not likely to be received. This is the idea of revenue, where most of the financial frauds they are happening in the name of revenue, right? Sometime it happened. Customer means that guy, he understands that you will not pay 10,000 rupees. Excuse me. So that guy he understands that you will not pay 10,000 rupees. So he has that understanding. And this is as per the practice, you don't pay. Ideally, he should not consider you as likely to be received, but he is trying to overshoot his revenue, despite knowing the fact that you are not actually you are not going to pay this 10,000 rupees, but still he is writing you as a likely to be received because his objective is to overshoot the revenue. Are you getting this point? So this is the area of the financial fraud where most of the financial fraud they are happening. Companies, they are overshooting their revenue. But if I am going to look at the fair practices, if you are an old customer, you always pay in time. I will not wait for recognizing you as revenue of 10,000 rupees. I will be saying, yes, my revenue is 90 plus 10 equals to 1 lakh. Now, my cash flow is a kind of fair guy. He is saying, boss, look at me. Whatever they are writing in balance sheet and P&L, please verify with me. I am saying I have only received 90,000. I have received only 90,000. So try to understand how he is going to report. He is saying 90 plus 10 here, 90 only in cash flow and 10,000 in balance sheet. Now coming back to your question, 5% deduction. Now in the next time, what is happening if you are saying 5% deduction is going to be happening? Let's say 5,000 rupee you are going to deduct. Sir, 5,000 you are saying or 5%?
1,000, sir. Say 10,000 was retention money, and due to some genuine problem, the company has deducted 5,000, and the remaining 5,000 is being paid.
Now, what would happen in the next balance sheet? Because this balance sheet I have closed. This is the position. In the next accounting year, what is happening? That the guy, he is getting information that he will not be getting 5,000 rupees, or let's say 5,000 rupees he has is going to be. Finally, you are not paying 5,000 rupees. Have you paid 5,000 rupees remaining?
Yes, remaining 5,000 is being paid.
Okay. Now, what is going to happen? Account receivable is 0 now. Sir?
Yeah, correct.
Right? How much he has received?
5,000.
As revenue. So
90,
he will be saying 5,000.
Yeah, 90 during last year and 5 during this year.
So 90 पहले मिल गया था, अभी कितना मिल रहा है? 5.
5 मिल रहा है.
So his cash flow is saying 95,000.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Revenue is saying 90 plus 5,000, 95,000.
Yeah.
Right? And account receivable, they have become 0. Nothing to receive. Because he has experienced some bad debt of 5,000. So this is a loss. He is reporting.
Sir, bad debt, what is the exact meaning? Because suppose there is no issue in the product, and then also the customer cut 5,000 and not willing to pay it, it should be considered as bad debt, or due to some defect liability or genuine reason the customer is going to cut your 5% or 5,000 rupees, it will be treated same as bad debt.
So bad debt, इसको आप बुरी तरह से नहीं लीजिए, मतलब bad इसका नाम है. So bad in the sense, whenever I am running a company, I am expecting 10,000 rupees from your side, getting the information that you will not be paying 2,000 rupees. At any case, you will not be able to pay 2,000 rupees. Reason could be any.
Yeah.
So I am writing as bad. I am saying bad. Why? Because this is not realizable now. Finally.
Okay.
How much I will be able to realize?
8,000. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Sir, sometimes it happens that you will be a kind of dicey guy where you are saying I will be paying, I may not be paying. It depends. Kind of. I am in confusion. मैं कहूँगा यार बॉस आप पे करोगे नहीं करोगे? आप कह रहे हो नहीं नहीं देखते हैं, बट करना तो चाहता हूँ मैं करूँगा. Right? In this position, no clarity is given from your side whether you will pay or not. Right? But you have given me some clue that 2,000 could be a kind of money which maybe I will be able to pay or I will not be able to pay. So rather than saying you as bad, I will say doubtful debt. So there are 3 kind of debt. One is good, whosoever is going to pay full amount. Second is bad, some amount he will not be paying at all. And one is doubtful. Doubtful is a kind of dicey, maybe he will be able to pay or he will not be able to pay. Now, my last question, I am going to close this session. I understand. So you tell me, what if you are reading some balance sheet of some certain company, right? Or let's say you are running your own company, right? And you are very consciously looking at your efficiency in terms of realization. You are looking at your efficiency very consciously. You are looking at efficiency of realization, because if you are not able to realize your money from the market, there is a kind of question mark on you, right? On your efficiency. Would you like to report this 2000 rupee as bad, or you would like to report as doubtful to your customers or investors? What do you take?
Doubtful.
Bad debts.
If you are writing bad, then you are going to declare that this is the amount you will not be able to realize at all. If you are writing doubtful, then you are trying to say, no, I am not inefficient. I may be able to realize this money, not in this accounting year, but maybe in the next accounting year.
So you are just you are showing some chances in the.
You are showing some chances.
Yeah.
So here I am just introducing the strategy for the reporting. Most of the time, I prefer reporting something as doubtful rather than reporting as bad, because this is going to connect with my efficiency related issues, right? Despite knowing the fact, most of the companies, some of the time, they know that they are going to experiencing some bad debt, but to impress the stakeholders or investors, rather than reporting as bad, they are reporting as doubtful. Is it okay?
So, won't it be termed as misguiding then?
It is misguiding. सारा का सारा बैलेंस शीट मिसगाइड करता है सर. अभी हम लोग आगे बात करेंगे उसमें. So P&L itself is a kind of statement which is going to misguide you.
Sir, I have one question.
Yes sir.
Okay.
तो ये अगर ये चीज अगर 2000 रुपए की अगर है तो ये इंस्टेड ऑफ पुटिंग इट अंडर डाउटफुल डेट, ये लाइकली टू बी रिसीव्ड में नहीं रिपोर्ट कर सकते हैं?
हाँ, so likely to be received, the moment you are saying doubtful, it will have impact on likely to be received, because your full amount is likely to be received only. It is going to enhance the chance of the likely to be received of the 10,000 rupees the moment you are writing 2,000 rupees as doubtful.
Okay.
Right? As an investor, my perspective will be different now. Right? So I am just leaving one question. You just come back to me whether NPA, you understand non-performing assets of banking company, right? So come back to me with this one and tell me whether NPA they are bad debt or they are doubtful debt. So you need to research this, right? And please research some statement of our former finance minister, Mr. Yashwant Sinha, around in 2000-2002, he commented on this particular issue. So आपको थोड़ा Google करना पड़ेगा. You will enjoy this process of learning and try to see how finance ministry they were able to arrive with the issues related to the NPAs in terms of banking, non-performing assets, and they had some debate related to whether NPA should be considered as bad debt or doubtful debt. Is it okay, sir?
Yes.
Right? So आप करके आइएगा. So you need to look at this and come back to me and tell me what is your understanding with NPA, and also try to see something is given related to Yashwant Sinha during 2000-2002. He was the finance minister. I think that period. I think most probably that report is related to 2002, right? And there was some debate related to bad debts, where Mr. Yashwant Sinha initially he reported NPA should be considered as bad debt. After 1 week, he made changes in his statement, reported in Economic Times, saying that NPAs cannot be bad debt, but they are doubtful. So please come back to me with the reading of this one.
सर एक और क्वेरी था
Yes,
अगर
sir.
कोई कंपनी सेलिंग करती है, देयर इज अ स्टैंडर्ड प्रोडक्ट्स और सम, बट पूरा साल में उसने मान लीजिए 1000 प्रोडक्ट बेचा है, उसको सब पास्ट ईयर के रिकॉर्ड के हिसाब से पता है कि मेरा 2% तो फेलर होता है और कहीं ना कहीं मुझे फ्री रिप्लेसमेंट या अंडर वारंटी फ्री रिप्लेसमेंट देना पड़ेगा, तो देयर विल बी एनी प्रोविजन इन फॉर दैट इन अ बैलेंस शीट?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We will do that. The moment I will discuss this Lone Pine Cafe, so there are the issue. I will discuss that.
Okay,
And in this case, there are some certain frauds also. Some battery making company, they are selling their batteries on, let's say, 21st Feb, because closing is happening on 31st March, and they know that life of the battery is 60 days only, right? They are selling the battery so that they can enhance their liquidity, they can enhance their profitability, despite knowing the fact after 31st March there will be some sales return. So that is the point we will discuss. Anyway,
Okay.
so they are the point, they will be covered in the case study also. So this is very interesting.
ओके सर, और एक क्वेरी था जो स्टार्टिंग में आपने बात किया कि सपोज आई मेक 100 रुपीज प्रॉफिट एंड 20% इज गिवन टू इन द डिविडेंड एंड रेस्ट 18% इज रिटेन ऑन मी फॉर द बिजनेस, तो हाउ इट इज कन्वर्टेड इनटू इक्विटी एंड हाउ इक्विटी इज इंक्रीज? बिकॉज अकॉर्डिंग टू माय अंडरस्टैंडिंग इक्विटी इज फिक्स व्हेनेवर यू स्टार्ट द कंपनी along with your capitals, and suppose
So-
the capital investment may be either some borrowing and some point from your self point of view.
So let's say, sir, equity is 1 crore, and this is the 1 crore I am reading just because of the 10 years progress of the equity, right? Now, every year, this is my duty as a business to enhance or to give growth to the equity. And how would I give growth to my equity? I am giving growth through my performance, and my performance outcome is coming from my P&L account. What is my performance outcome? 80 rupee. So this 80 rupee will be added with your equity, which is a kind of my retained income, 80 rupee. But this will be a little bit early. Let us discuss the balance sheet in a full format, where we will create some profit and loss, and we'll try to understand how this 80 rupee or similar kind of amount they are giving growth to your capital, right? So this is the requirement of the business. Every year you are performing, coming back to with some 80 or 100 rupee, and this 80 and 100 rupee you are going to retain with you, because you are saying you have done all possible payments, right? So how would you deal with this 80 rupee? This 80 rupee is going to be added with the equity, and this is called growth to the capital. So, sir, this I will be writing in the balance sheet in the next session, so it will be clearly understood that why and from what kind of method it is going to be added with the equity.
Okay, sir.
Okay, but
Yeah.
as of now, you should keep in your mind any kind of profit or retained income as some objective to give growth to the equity, and this is how you will be able to run your